Hey guys, if you're like me and you're a bit lazy or you don't like to have high input cost strategies, this strategy should be very good for you because it is a very high currency per hour strat, as you can see, with 31 per hour. And it has excessively or extremely low input costs, rather. It's very, very cheap. I'm using very few expensive Scarabs with nothing really that costs a lot of currency. So, and I am dropping a lot of volatile Vaal orbs as well as refractive fogs. So the three Scarabs that I use are ambush Scarabs, 3 ambush Scarabs. Then I use Beyond Resurgence, and I also use Delirium Scarab of Neuroses. Another material that I use with this strategy is I purchase the Enshrouded Astrolobes, which currently trade at 128 chaos. And what you do is you want to pick a map in the bottom left side of the atlas. That is because the vault will guarantee a currency reward. And I found that I always profit from putting an Astrolobe here. I've been working on constructing my house in Portugal, which I've recently moved to. It's coming along very well. But as it turns out, building a house from scratch is a great way to ensure you'll never have money again. And that's why I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is celebrating its 7th anniversary this month, and they've added tons of quality of life updates and content over the years to make the grind way more fun. To celebrate, they're giving away an insane amount of free stuff right now. If you're a new player, scanning the QR code or using my links unlocks a $200 anniversary package. You instantly get a starter pack with the legendary champion, Krok'mar the Devourer. As you level up your account, you will unlock more stuff, like 500,000 silver at level 15, an epic champion, Galapo the Recluse at level 25, and 7 million silver at level 35. On top of that, use the promo code RAID7 to snag another free legendary, Pelops the Victor. If you're already a player though, don't worry, they still got you. There's a 7-day gift chain, and if you log in for 7 days during the Assassin's Creed event, everybody gets a legendary Ezio. While you can easily play an auto battle while multitasking, there's a surprising amount of depth as well, allowing you to min-max your builds. So scan the QR code and hit the links in the description if you want. It helps the channel and it helps me finish the house. So thank you very much to Raid Shadow Legends for supporting the channel. Now, it is very important to pick a map that you enjoy here because you'll be spamming them very, very fast. However, I think Jungle Valley is pretty good because there's no boss altars for it and it's just a very linear and easy map. I have scried the Vaal Cathedral. However, I have never actually dropped a Mage Blood doing the strategy, or sorry, a Mage Blood card doing the strategy. So I don't think it's that good. I think going for Divine Orb, Divination cards. So if we search for like Divine Orb, we can see Ivory Temple probably, or Mineral Pools should be just a bit better for, consistent currency. However, the big ticket Apothecary is also kind of cool. So if you want to scry that over. Alternatively, you could also just not scry. That's up to you. So for my maps, I run Originator T16s, and I roll them for using PoE.re, specifically just for modifiers that I don't like. Now, alternatively, you could also add minimum currency on here for a little bit more currency per hour, but I personally just prefer like spending as little time as possible setting up my farm, spending as little time as possible setting up my maps. So what I do is I just search for modifiers that I don't enjoy, which in this case are going to be minus max, Searing Exarch runes, as well as reduced block. So I filter out for those, I put them in a map tab, and I will just chaos them until they have the modifiers that I like running. And then finally, on the final stage, I will slam them so they are 6 mods because it's basically just free. Exalted Orbs are just free at this point. So my maps will look something like this, with no specific implicit. But as I said, you can roll for currency if you prefer. So you can get like maps like this from time to time where you have very high currency. Now, the next thing you will do is you will, of course, set your Deli Astrolobe here. And it's very important that you set your Deli Astrolobe because this strategy revolves around spawning Delirium as well as Beyond bosses. This is very, very important because that's the entire strategy. Now, if you look at my Atlas passive skill tree, I am not using this keystone and I am clicking as much of the Beyond nodes as possible. And I am also clicking as much of the reward types from Delirium as possible. For the remainder, I am blocking as many strats as possible. Breach you can block or unblock, it's up to you depending on whether you want to get those breach scarabs. I keep it blocked just to make sure that my Mirage spawns as close to possible as my to my Stronboxes. So I block as many mechanics as possible. Then you will see that I will take some Scarab nodes as well as the Diviners Strombox nodes. Strombox nodes up here and the keystone. This is very important so that you can continue to running one map. All of the modifier effect into some of the altar stuff. Here I have the bidet mob currency, and all the way down here I grab all of the merging radius and go back into the blockers. So this will be in the description as well, and if you open up the little strategy tab here, you can see that the Scarabs are shown, as well as the map device crafts, or not craft, but you know what you're selecting on the influence. And yeah, make sure you're using a Delirium Astrolobe on your shaped region. That is very, very important. So once you know that, all you realistically need to do is know exactly how to run the map. So right here, I'm going to showcase what you need to do to run the map. And as I mentioned previously, make sure that you're putting your Astrolobe on, because without the Astrolobe, you are not spawning Delirium. We are blocking Delirium on the tree, but you are force spawning it with the Astrolobe. So it's very important that you select that. Otherwise, you're not going to be dropping any fogs whatsoever, and that's going to eat into your profits. So we're just going to put those back in. Going to put our map in there. So I'm going to show you guys now how to run the strategy specifically. The way that we run the strat is we are, for the most part, rushing to the Mirage. However, you need to have at the very minimum 5 stacks of Delirium before you go in, because as you'll see, once you reach 5 stacks here at the bottom, you will complete the shaped objective. So I will go through, I will proc influence and stuff like that, and I will click as many altars as possible on the way, as well as killing the bosses or whatever. You can see that I'm on 4 current stacks. I will search for my Mirage. I will ignore the bosses, and boom, 5 stacks reached. Successfully completed the shaped region objective. So at this point, the only thing you need to do is go up to Varasha and seek out your wish. So you're going to look out for things like, you know, the frauds, as well as more currency, more divination cards, that kind of stuff. But in a case where you get something like this, it really doesn't matter. Like none of those are very good. So as I mentioned previously, we're sort of ignoring the things outside, because most of our loot is going to be coming from inside of the Mirage. And outside of the Mirage, you cannot drop Volatile Vaal orbs, and you also cannot drop the Refractive Fog. So first thing you do is when you enter Mirage is you go through the Delirium gate. It's really important. You're going to be clicking as many of your altars as possible, and we drop the Divine, which is pretty cool. Then you will actually drop quite a bit of raw currency with this strategy, because the Beyond, when you do spawn the bidet mobs, they have like an increased chance of dropping the currencies and stuff like that. But the idea is that you saw those Delirium bosses there, they spawned, and those Delirium bosses also will have a very high chance of dropping the Refractive Fog. I am getting so much good shit this map. I swear, this is actually not normal. I must have been the streamer RNG as soon as I opened the stream. But the idea is that when you open the Stronboxes, you're spawning your Delirium bosses, and these Delirium bosses have a very high chance of dropping Volatile Vaal orbs, as you can see here. And the Stronboxes are important because the Stronboxes, when you drop operative Stronboxes, or rather when you get operative Stronboxes like you see, they drop pretty damn good Scarabs. And I got, like, for example, a Pandemonium Scarab, a Bloodline Scarab. So this is like 2.4 div. Our Volatile Vaal orb is currently trading at 1.6 div. And we dropped the Vine orb, as well as the 7 years bad luck. Okay, the 7 years bad luck doesn't count. That was just absurdly lucky. But we're just going to finish it up here. So we pretty much got everything already. We're going to teleport back and end our Delirium. It's important to end the Delirium because it drops a bunch of divination, Deli orbs. And the Deli orbs are actually going to be adding up to a lot of our profit. So there we go. We bump out, and we're going to end this one as well. Going to pick up the loot here. Grab our Delirium orb, and bam. That's it. That's how you run the strategy. So another thing that you need to be very mindful of is that when you do run the strat, you're going to rack up this counter here. And when this gets to full to 28, you're going to have to kill the boss. It's really important that you kill the boss, because the boss is going to be giving you like an extra 150 chaos, injection, which is going to cover your costs and that kind of stuff. So, all right, we completed the shaped objective. We can leave our map. I know it seems like you're leaving a lot on the table with these maps, with leaving the maps early, but I guarantee you that it doesn't matter. Like, leave your maps. It's more profit per hour to leave your maps than to full clear them. It's really not good to full clear your maps because all of your currency is condensed within the Mirage. You have to treat the Mirage like it's your map. And it's the same with like Wildwood here. So if I was playing normally, I would do Wildwood. But for the showcase, I would just want to rush the Mirage to just stress to you guys that the profit is the Mirage. Everything outside of the Mirage is just extra. But we're really just hoping to drop our Volatile Vaal Orbs as well as Refracted Fogs in the Mirage. And everything else is just extras that we can get. So we clicked the Grand Eldritch Ember Altar, which is insane because, yeah, those are crazy money. At the moment, they're like 10C each or something like that. But I'm struggling to find the Mirage, actually. So just going to rush forward a little bit. Oh, and this one seems to be a pretty good spawn. So I'm pretty happy with that. Gonna be picking up all my currency. Going down here. Oh man. Now, when you hit like a Grand Altar, it's insane. I really do think that the minions are just better, right? So we're gonna click Rarity. I do think that because of Grand Embers being so expensive, clicking on minion altars is just way better than clicking on player altars for most strategies in this game. It's just the very few strategies where you're just turbo juicing the quant is actually where you want to be maxing that. But outside of that, I think if you're just brainlessly farming, just clicking on the minions is way better. So proccing all of the Stronboxes, there we go. We got the Beyond bosses, hallelujah. Okay, we're just gonna DPS them down and we're praying that they drop their Volatile Vaal Orbs. And we did not drop any Volatile Vaal Orbs, boys. It is nerfed, officially nerfed. But as you saw from like the first map, you know, like there's still a lot of profit on the table, even when you're not specifically dropping the Volatile Orbs as well as the Refracted Fogs. But that is the strategy, and that is what I've been running for basically the past, since the start of the league. It's been very profitable. It's how I farm pretty much all of my currency. And it's also really fun because I don't have to stress about the costs and I don't have to stress about anything. And I just sell everything in fastest at the end of the day. And I've been thoroughly enjoying it. So that's pretty much it. I'm sorry about the somewhat scuffed setup, but I do promise you it drops a lot of the orbs. It's very good. And I hope you guys enjoy it because I've really been enjoying this strategy. All right. And that's pretty much it. I hope to see you guys again soon and have a good day. Goodbye.